Top of the morning to Atlantis. My name's Jacksepticeye. Today, gonna do a top 3 list about my and Martin's, that's not correct grammar, but favorite top 3 movies of the 90s. So, first we're gonna take my number 3 spot, then Martin's gonna do his number 3 spot, I'm gonna do my number 2, then his number 2, then my number 1, and then his number 1. Okay? Keep in mind, this is a personal list. It's what we think, and if you have another opinion, comment down below. So if you like Batman and Robin, just say it. Maybe you're special. Hi guys. My number 3 spot is none other movie than Terminator 2 Judgment Day. Terminator 2 is a movie about John Connor. John Connor is the leader of the resistance against the Terminators. The Terminators are robots who takes over the world. He sends a Terminator that he has reprogrammed T-800, played by Arnold Schwarzenegger, back to the present to protect young John Connor from another Terminator, T-1000. Terminator 2 is my number 3 spot because it is such a revolutionary action movie and probably the best action movie ever. A thing that makes this movie so great is that in the first Terminator we saw a human fight against a Terminator, and that's cool and all. But in Terminator 2, it's a Terminator against a Terminator, and that's extremely awesome. Harold used awesome special effects like truck flipping, explosions, and many more. This was amazing for that time, especially the car chase in the movie. They're so awesome, and how they did that was extremely cool. The CGI in this movie was very good, although there isn't that much CGI. But the T-1000 looks so cool when it transforms, and it looks like real liquid metal. It's a pop epiphany, marking the commercially creativity point where the power of Hollywood meets the purity of myth.
First rule of Fight Club: don't talk about Fight Club. Number 3, Fight Club. So Fight Club is directed by probably one of my favorite directors of all time, and that's David Fincher. Now, before I say anything about the plot, I gotta say that the plot for this movie is probably the weirdest thing I've ever seen. So it is about this schizophrenic guy with sleeping problems.
Yeah.
Now, I actually don't want to say anything about the plot because I want you guys to experience this weirdness. But I can tell you that you have probably never seen this kind of weirdness before. Now, when this movie came out in 1999, critics didn't really like it. And if you read what they say, they all say that it's too weird. Now, when time goes by, this movie got praised as probably one of the best and original movies of all time. What's so great about this weird piece? Now, one of the things that I think is so great about this movie is the description of schizophrenia. I think David Fincher and the cinematographer Jeff Cronenweth does a great job portraying this so-called disease by various filming techniques such as certain usage of lighting and color usage. The whole movie's color is colored with a dark and bluish color that makes it very depressing as the disease. And I think personally this movie represents the movies from the 90s. Because when we see all these movies that came out in the 90s, they're all different and original than other movies, and that's why it defines the 90s. That's why it earned my number 3 spot.
You got a friend in me. You guessed it, number 2 spot, Toy Story. Toy Story is a movie about a boy named Andy who plays a lot with his toys, especially with his favorite toy, Woody the cowboy. When Andy leaves, his toys come to life. One Christmas, Andy gets a new toy figure called Buzz Lightyear, and that's when Woody gets jealous. Toy Story is a 3D animated movie, and it is Pixar's first movie. At the time, people knew how to use 3D animation, but it was never really that good until Toy Story. The 3D animation is so incredible in this movie, especially for this time. The concept of this movie is very simple, but still extremely good. It's basically a kid's dream. It can appeal to all ages because older people have also been kids once, and they have also dreamed about their toys coming to life. And that's what makes this movie a great family movie. It is a winning animated feature that has something for everyone on the age spectrum.
You thought Steven Spielberg couldn't make war movies? Well, at my number 2, it's Saving Private Ryan. So Saving Private Ryan is directed by Steven Spielberg and was made in 1998. And it's about the battle in Normandy and the rescue mission for the soldier, Ryan. This movie is about this team of soldiers trying to rescue this one man. Now I don't really want to say anything else about the plot because I want you guys to watch this movie. So one of the great things about this movie is the opening action scene. Now what's so great about this movie is that this movie pulls you down to this world war. The director and cinematographer really used all of their techniques to get the claustrophobic feeling. So one of the masterful techniques that the director uses is the handheld camera. Now one of the great things about the handheld camera is that it gives you the sense that you're there. When we see the battles in Normandy, it was shot in handheld camera and it really felt real because of the handheld camera. When we see all those Americans in Normandy, going to Normandy, it was all shot by handheld camera because we needed to get the sense of being in a boat. Now there's so many small details in this movie that every time I rewatch it, I always see something new. Now, one of the other great things about this movie is the usage of color. The lighting and the color usage in this movie really makes this movie timeless. When I watched this 1 year ago, I actually thought this movie was from like the 2010s. I mean, it really just shows you how timeless this movie is. And of course, I can't forget to tell you guys about the third act, which is probably one of the most nerve-wracking shit I've ever seen in a long time. I think personally that this is one of the best times in movies where they use practical effects, and we can really see it in the third act. The practical effects in this third act really give you this rawness and realness to this movie. And that's why Saving Private Ryan earned my number 2 spot.
Jurassic Park. Jurassic Park is directed by Steven Spielberg. It is about a park where they have recreated the dinosaurs. Jurassic Park is a movie directed by Steven Spielberg. It's about a park where they have recreated dinosaurs. But something happens. A fat man does so the power goes off, and all the dinosaurs go loose. So it's a hell. But luckily they didn't open the park. But still, there's some people locked in Jurassic Park. Jurassic Park is my number 1 spot because the special effects in this movie is so great. The reason Jurassic Park is my number 1 spot is because the way they make this movie is so awesome and incredible. The landscape is beautiful. For example, Steven Spielberg, he had these robots to look like dinosaurs, and that looked extremely cool and realistic. And the dinosaurs where they used CGI were also awesome. It's also a dream come true because dinosaurs. Who would like to see dinosaurs? Everybody. It's a dream come true. This is masterpiece from Steven Spielberg. And it's the greatest monster movie of all monster movies. In my opinion, actually, it's my favorite movie of all time. People wanted this movie to make them believe. And it did. It made them jump and be excited. The first time I watched this movie, my mind was blown. I actually thought it was real dinosaurs. And I wanted to do everything to see a dinosaur in real life. To this day, I wish to see a dinosaur. So, all in all, this is my number 1 spot because it's such a nostalgic movie for me, and I think it's great.
This is a tasty burger. Well, my number one, it's Pulp Fiction. Pulp Fiction is directed by Quentin Tarantino in 1994 and starred John Travolta, Samuel L. Jackson, Uma Thurman, and a whole bunch of people. Now, Pulp Fiction is about these two hitmen on a mission to get this case that contains this mysterious thing. And then it unfolds into this huge crime epic about different classes in the crime world. Is so great about this movie is that the writer and director Quentin Tarantino really wrote one of the best scripts of all time. Now, I'm not an expert of knowing a great script, but when you see this movie you can clearly see that there is a lot of dedication to the story. Every single dialogue is just one of the greatest things of all time. And as told you before, I think the 90s is probably one of the weirdest times for movies. And this movie truly shows that it is weird. Now, why is this movie so weird? Well, first of all, it's a non-linear story and the plot is really weird. And what I mean is that you've never seen a hitman killing people and quoting the Bible. I mean, you have to see this movie to truly understand what I'm saying. And maybe it isn't the best movie of all time, but I think that it is the perfect movie that reflects the 90s. And that's why it earned my number as well. So that was our project about the best 90s movies of all time. And we had a great time reviewing these movies.
Yes.
Thank you for watching this video.
Thank you very much.
Like this video and comment down below.
Subscribe.
And put the notifications on. What?